Okay, just okay. Sorry. I was about to start recording, then I forgot.
No problem. Satyaki, I have a
Next
question
time-
before we do this.
Everybody remember that. Go ahead.
Satyaki?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, this is Sumit again. Question, okay? So it's, I mean, in line with what Syed just asked, okay? So when we were doing this activity, would the first step be to create a compensation eligibility rule before we go into creating grade profiles? Should the first step be to have a rule, because the rule is to include all the workers from the organization?
Right. So
is the first step to make a rule?
I mean, that's a very good question. See, the thing is, if I go to the tenant, you can always do these things parallelly. Like say I'm creating a grade profile and I don't know whether I would be needing to create an eligibility rule or I would be having a pre-existing rule that I can reuse, right? So always there is a possibility of missing out something and then you can always create it later.
The problem that we are facing in the tenant is that when it comes to that, when I'm creating a grade profile and I come to the rule part where I have to put something in. Now, my question was, for my practice sake, do I put a rule in first that I can use so I know, okay, I use my own rule, or, you know, I just pick any one of the existing ones?
So if the existing ones suffice, so say you have an existing rule which you feel is good to go. I mean, your purpose will be served. Then you go ahead with that. Otherwise, you have to create your own.
Right. So when I was creating a rule, there was, you know, how you at the bottom have back parentheses, and then, you know, you have to include all the employees from USA.
Right.
I did not know how to, you know, so I opened parentheses and I did not know how to include all the, what will be the, you know, condition, or how will I use that formula to include all the employees? Like, I did not know how to do that.
So all the employees from this organization, that's what you're talking about?
So the rule is include all the workers from the organization. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you that. Or maybe Syed, you came up with that. So why not you tell?
So I think that is going to be the everyone that belongs to the super org. So
correct.
So that will be included in that, the first rule. So
but how do you write it, Syed?
So we are going to include the members. So I think he's going to do that.
So
create the eligibility.
I believe you have all sorry to interrupt. I believe you have created in this tenant only. Can we go ahead and check the one that you created, Syed?
Yeah, I think you can see eligibility rule with the extension SX. Try with that.
SX?
Yeah.
All workers comp, is this the one?
Maybe try that one, please.
Okay. No, not this one.
No, it says compensation eligibility rule to include all workers in the comment.
Yeah.
I think this is.
Yeah, I think
this is the one. I think
that is the one, because my compensation value is the super org, which is Superheroes Inc. Comparison value is the Superhero Inc. And it includes everyone from the organization.
Correct. So yeah, so if you see this field, organization and superior organizations, it means that any organization which is a subordinate to SX, I mean, this includes SX superheroes and any organization that is a subordinate or comes along the same hierarchy.
Right.
So the name is a little confusing when you say superior organizations. It's actually not the superior, it's actually the subordinate organizations. So as I say, this is a Workday delivered field. There are a lot of Workday delivered fields which you can reuse. And I mean, through experience, you will get to find out a lot of fields which which will come in handy. So this is one of those fields which you can use to include all the organizations. I mean, when you're targeting an organization, like in this case. Having said that, Syed, can I have your permission to make some changes to this?
Sure, sure. Of course. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so if I just go ahead and edit this, instead of this is actually the best option how you should go ahead. But instead of this, what I could have done is I could have just typed in supervisor the organization. Okay. And it could be any of the selection list. And I would just select all the supervisory organizations that are there under like the ones which we want to. I don't think this is one. So yeah, all these supervisory organizations which we want to include all the employees of. So we can just go ahead and select. So what would this seem like? This would be like all the supervisory organizations, any in the selection list, like any of these supervisory organization. If the supervisory organization is any of these, then the worker is eligible for this eligibility rule.
So what if a any of the supervised organization is created after the fact, after we enable this eligibility rule, and if we don't remember to include it in the eligibility rule, then what?
Exactly. Exactly. So that is why I said like the approach that you had done was the best solution that takes care of anything which is created afterwards as a subordinate. But
Right.
this is just to make things clearer, like we are just including all the supervisory organizations.
Okay, got it.
Sumit, does this answer your question?
Sumit, you're on mute.
I don't know. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll just go ahead and do this activity. Would that be good?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, so when we go ahead doing this activity, now let's understand like why we are doing this activity. So we have this client requirement that all these workers that we have, all the employees that we have here, they can be either from the executive level, executive grade, or non-executive grade, right?
Yeah.
Now, yeah. So now this is all so that we can set up the compensation. Now we are setting up an executive grade and a non-executive grade. So we will just set up like what would be the base salary of the executive grade and the range of the executive grade and what would be for the non-executive grade. Now, to come to what Syed was saying, instead of considering these as grade profiles, so like why are we creating grade profiles? What is the purpose of grade profile? Can anybody see?
I think for now, in this case, it's going to be the location.
Right.
So we are segregating it based on location.
Exactly. So the grades are same. So executive, the level is executive, but the person is from USA. And here the level is executive, grade is executive, but the person is from UK. So there is no point of creating two separate grades because the grades are same, but the grade profiles are different. The locations are different. So we are creating two grade profiles, but the grade is the same. So any senior manager from USA and any senior manager from UK, the grades will be the same. Designations would be the same, but it's just that their locations are different. Hence, their compensation would be different. One would be paid in USD, the other would be paid in pounds. So that's why we are creating profiles. So it's always advisable to create two grades, each having two profiles, rather than creating 4 different grades. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yes.
Everybody, Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Right. So for this activity, we have to create. Now let's start understanding like what we are doing. So for this activity, we have to create 2 grade profiles. Is that clear? Sorry, 2 grades, and each grade having 2 grade profiles. That is clear, right?
Yes.
Now, so this executive level, how are we going to make the system understand to segregate between to understand whether the employee is from the executive level or not?
We will have 2 different grades. One will be executive, one will be non-executive.
Correct. So when we are having 2 different grades, one executive and one non-executive, how will the system understand the person is executive or not?
By the salary range, I guess.
Yeah, that is there. But like what I'm trying to ask is, how will the system understand? So the point is, the system will understand by the eligibility rule, right? So
okay.
right, the person has to be eligible for this grade. Otherwise, he or she will not be into this grade. So system does not know anything. The system will see whether the employee is eligible for this grade.
Okay.
So this grade gets tagged to the employee. The employee is not eligible for this grade, but eligible for this grade. So the employee gets tagged to this grade.
So you're saying we create the rule first, the eligibility.
No, I'm coming to that.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm trying to analyze the requirement. So we have clearly understood that we need 2 grades, one executive, one non-executive. Now we need to understand how the system will understand whether the person is an executive or non-executive. For that, the system needs some eligibility rules. The system needs to be fed some information so that the system can clearly demarcate whether the person is in the executive level or the non-executive level. So for that, we need to create eligibility rules. Now, so it's up to you whether you want to create the eligibility rules first or you want to create the grades first. Having said that, when you want to create the grade, if I go ahead and say, not selected, yeah, okay, create compensation grade. Okay, so if I go ahead and create compensation grade, and let's just name this 0101 1900, and let's use the grade profiles because we would be having 2 grade profiles for the grade. Let's just name this RW executive grade, right? So how will the system understand the person belongs to the executive grade? The system needs an eligibility rule, right?
Yes.
So for that, we need to create an eligibility rule first. So that was the sole purpose why I had mentioned to create the eligibility rule first before creating the compensation grade. It can be the other way around also. Like you start creating the grade and suddenly you remember that, okay, I don't have this eligibility rule in my system. I need to create a separate eligibility rule. So what you can do is you can just go ahead, keep this tab, and maybe just duplicate this tab, right? And create eligibility rule. Oh, sorry, it's not the benefit, the compensation eligibility. Now you create the compensation eligibility rule and you use it here. You use it here.
Okay.
So this can be done parallelly also. And it's a very dynamic and real-time data. So like once you create the compensation eligibility rule here in this tab, it will be available here.
So here I'll say this, the rule will be the guy is between 200 and 500K, and then what else is?
No. That
The
is something.
eligibility rule is going to be for the location, right?
No. So for this, for the grade, if I go to the grade, the eligibility rule would be the employee has to be an executive grade employee. So it is also mentioned, what you can see here is, where is it? Let me just go to this. Organization. Oh, yeah, okay. So you can see the executives are all higher than the manager job profile, right?
Yes.
So when the manager, the job profile is a manager, he becomes a non-executive. Otherwise, anything over manager is an executive, right? Is it clear?
So we are
So
basically comparing with the job profile for the grade.
right, because this is something which you can compare with, because see, you can't compare it based on location. You can't compare it based on company. So you can't say that person belonging to USA company is executive, belonging to UK is non-executive. It's not not that, right? So you have to find out some commonality which would help you to deduce like how to decide with, like from what from what job profile or from what management level is the employee an executive. Usually for considering a person as an executive or a non-executive, we consider management levels or job profiles, right? You remember management levels, right? What management level is?
Right. So another question here. So job profile, do we need to, we haven't created the job profiles yet.
Right,
So,
right. We have not created it.
Okay. So we have to go back and
But
create the
we
job
get an
profiles
idea.
first. Okay.
Not exactly. We get the idea, like for a job profile, say HR manager. So for a job profile, I mean, once you're done with this, you will have a clear idea like what things are. Let me just go ahead and give you a taste of what job profile is. I'll just pause this out for the moment.
So basically, we're trying to find something that's common between all the executives so that we can use it as a rule.
Exactly.
Okay.
So can we do, other than the job profile, can we do a eligibility rule based on a base pay? Because executive have a, if you go, okay, if you see a base pay is certain range, so executive have a high pay of. So can we make eligibility rule on a base pay or just on a job profile?
So to be honest, the purpose of this eligibility rule, why are we creating this eligibility rule? To make the system automatically tag this person to a grade. Once the person is automatically tagged to a grade, then the person would have a range of values that, okay, this person can earn between $20,000 to $50,000. Then it would be easier for the person to set up some value for that hired employee. So if you are saying that you want to create a condition rule based on the base pay, the employee would not actually be having a base pay when you are creating, when the system is considering the employee, right? Because the employee is just getting hired. So we are doing everything so that the base pay can be set up correctly. So it's always, I mean, you can use base pay in condition rules also, but it is advisable to not use base pay because we are doing this entire activity to enable us to set up the correct base pay. Right.
So you're saying when we hire someone under executive, if we do it this way, profile, when we have somebody's profile as executive, and then we hire someone, we will know his range is between 200 to 500.
Correct. Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Does this answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll go back to the tenant again. So I'll just go ahead and create a job profile. I'll not create, I'll just show you. So if you go to job profile, this is some, I'll give it some name, say an executive, CHRO or something like that. And you have a thing called management level. Okay. So here you can see these are the management levels which are available in this tenant. But in the GMS tenant, there would be different management levels available, and you can create your own management levels. So once you create a management level, you can use this also to create your compensation grade. Sorry, to create your compensation eligibility rule. Now, instead of job management level, you want to use job level. So say there are certain job levels, senior, junior, expert, and you want to set up your eligibility based on whether the job level of the employee is senior or junior or expert, then you can use job levels. So that is as per your requirement, like what you want to use in the eligibility condition. But for this requirement, we can either use job profile, or what does this job profile help us with? This job profile gives you an idea like, okay, see, this is the HR manager and he's a non-executive. So, and it is safe to assume that, okay, any person who is a manager or below would be a non-executive, and any person in the VP level or say CEO level or director level, he or she would be an executive level. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, right. So this is how we will be setting up an eligibility rule. Now, again, going back to our requirement, we will be creating 2 grades. We were already in the middle of creating a compensation grade. So say RW executive grade. Base pay element is not much of an area of discussion right now, because this is, you can add anything you want to show, allowance, say. And eligibility rule, right? So who all would be eligible for this grade? So let us do one thing. Let us create an eligibility rule, compensation eligibility rule. And let's just name this employees above manager level.
Okay.
And say I use management level here, management level compensation. In the selection list, so you can see there are lots of management levels already there in the system, but these are created. I will come to some of the, so let's go with these are all like created. So let me just go and find out certain stuff. So you can see there is say a board of director, say there is a CEO, manager would not be there because we are selecting people above manager level. Say we go for a director. We go for a vice president.
So in this case, we'll have to pick choose all the job profiles that are in the organization above a manager.
Correct.
When we
So
are doing this rule. Okay.
Right. So that's how I am doing it. You can do it your way if you want to, because the main objective is to differentiate between the executive grade and the non-executive grade. So I found it out this way. What you can do is you can create job profiles and include that.
Yeah,
So
there is no other way. I don't see any other way, any other common attribute between these people on this table. This is the only common thing.
Yeah, so that's what, like, instead of management levels, you can create job profiles, and maybe you can just mention it here that, okay, any person who belongs to these three job profiles, CEO, VP HR, and VP Sales and Marketing, they would be in the executive grade.
Got it.
And the rest non-executive grades. So you are creating two compensation eligibility rules.
Satya,
Make sense?
sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question here. Sorry, I just maybe the silly question, but I have in my mind. For example,
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
So because we have only one manager, HR manager, which is non-executive. But sometimes, we have another manager, for example, sales manager, which have high pay, and he is fall in an executive level. So there's a tie between the two managers. Then in practical world, is it possible?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic question, and it's absolutely possible. Then you do remember, like, last class, we were talking about combining conditions with and or conditions. So there might be a manager, say a sales manager, who is in the executive level. So then you would be in a confusion. Okay, we cannot use management levels when it comes to the differentiation between executive and non-executive grades, right?
Then what we can do?
Right. So then, because this is a very condensed table, there are a lot of other fields which you can consider upon. This is option one. Option two is, what you can do is you can go here. Firstly, job profile, you can just include the job profile. Say you can include HR manager and not include sales manager. And then it would take up the HR manager in the executive profile and the sales manager in the non-executive profile. That is also what you can do. So everything is in your hand. You can set it up accordingly. So if you say, let me just check once, what are the profiles available? So in the selection list, so say I just type in manager, just to give you an example. Oh, there are a lot of managers. Say I give director, maybe. There are lots of directors. Okay. Now see, there is a director information technology and there is a director human resource, right? So I want director human resources to be a part of the executive grade, but director information technology, I don't want him to be a part of the executive grade. He should be in the non-executive grade. So here I will just select the director human resource and not select this person. For the other rule that I'm creating for the non-executive, I'll be selecting this and not this. Then automatically the system will understand, as soon as you want to hire somebody for the position of a human resources director, system will automatically add the grade executive to that person. And as soon as you go to hire somebody from the information technology, system will tag the non-executive grade to this person. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. But that's a good question. Like, there might arise circumstances like this.
So that's
okay.
the way. That's the thing I said, that we can also maybe a condition of base pay. That's the reason I asked earlier. Yep.
Yes, but as I said, the only reason why we don't use base pay is because we are doing this entire activity to help us to decide the base pay. So if we are using the base pay itself as a condition, then it doesn't serve that purpose much.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So going back to so we are creating this compensation grade. This is an executive grade that we're creating, and I am selecting, say, a management level compensation, say a director, a vice president,
Yeah.
and a CEO maybe. So any person who, let's say, so any person who belongs to these three management levels are a part of this eligibility rule. Now what I'll do is I'll just copy this and put it here in the eligibility rules. It's not getting pasted. Yeah. Okay. So you can see this picks up. Now, any person who belongs to the director or CEO, or what was the other one? I think vice president. Yeah. Any three of these management levels a person is being hired for, he or she will automatically get tagged to this compensation grade. This is the grade that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Any confusion on that? This is not the grade profile. This is the grade that I'm talking about, executive grade. Okay.
Yeah.
Now coming to grade profile. So if you have only a grade, say I had the same profile for USA and UK, I don't want to make any distinction between the employees, then I'll not be needing profiles. So this itself would suffice, and you would add the minimum, the maximum here. That would be enough. But for this exercise, because we are having two profiles, we will be going to grade profiles. We don't have to make any changes in the pay range here, compensation pay range, because we are not going to use this. We are going to use profiles, right?
Yes.
Here, what would be the name of the first profile?
Executive USA.
Right. So let's go ahead with Exec USA. Base pay element, let's say type in base pay and allowance. Not much of a problem here. What just do I need to do it again?
Maybe sometimes you cancel that, it takes you to the previous page.
Is it? I am not sure actually what just happened. Just give me a minute.
I think it's closed.
Okay. Let me just do it again. Should be fast because we have created one. We'll name it RW exec. Just keep it short. And let's just include base pay only. We'll keep it short. For the eligibility rule, we already have one. Let me search it by name. Employees and above. Okay. For currency, let's just use USD. Frequency, annual. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Coming back to compensation grade profiles, we want to create two profiles, right? So one would be, say, exec USA. Base pay would be base pay. Now coming to the eligibility rule. So what is the purpose of this eligibility rule? This eligibility rule will enable the system to understand, will enable the system to differentiate between the executive grade. Now, I want to differentiate between people from USA and people from UK. So what should be my eligibility criteria here?
Location based.
Right. So I already have one WorkDay delivered. Country United States of America or India. This is something created by, okay. So country is United States. You can always click on this related actions and check it out yourself. Like what is this going on? All locations, any in the selection list are from USA. So it's safe enough to use it. So I can go ahead and use this. And that's it. So this is the eligibility rule. Now anybody belonging to USA, and let's me just go ahead and use the currency USD frequency again as annual. And now for my base pay, what was the base pay? So 200,000 and 500,000, right? Let's go back. So this should be 200,000 and is the correct column?
Second last.
Yeah. And this should be 500,000. Let's just go ahead and calculate this. Okay, so we are done with our first profile, right? So we are done with our USA profile. And now we will go ahead and create our UK profile. So I'll just click on the plus. I'll click on this plus also, because if I don't click, then you see you don't have any option for the base pay. I mean the range, right? So just go ahead and add this. Now let's just name this exec UK. You can give any description if you want, but not needed. Base pay, let's just keep it base pay. Eligibility rules, again, we can go ahead with United Kingdom. I think it should be already there. Country United Kingdom, you can just click and have a look at it. All countries in United Kingdom. So basically it's pretty much a similar one. So you just go ahead and select it, right? And currency would be GBP. Frequency would be annual.
So you didn't add GBP to the currency when we were, before the grade profile in the beginning. So
right, because that's the default one. So it doesn't really matter. You can always change.
But even if we don't do it there, we can still use a different currency in the grade profiles.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll come to that again.
Okay.
So let me just see. This will be 200,000 and 400,000. I'll just go put on 200. Just type in and 400. Right. So if I now click on OK, so we are good with our first compensation grade. Now, what I believe Sumit, you asked a question about the currency, right? So now what the system will do, say I am hiring an employee in the compensation, in the management level of a vice president. Say I am hiring Spider-Man. He's the vice president HR, right? So say I'm hiring this person. What the system will see, okay, I'm hiring for a management level vice president. So this person would be eligible for this compensation rule, employees above manager. Now, this employees above manager is used in this compensation grade. So that makes Spider-Man eligible for this compensation grade? Now, this is the main gate of the house. So you have 2 rooms in this house. We will go to the 2 rooms. Now Spider-Man wants to enter the UK room. Okay. So what is the eligibility to enter that room? Spider-Man has to be from the country UK.
Yes.
Is the condition satisfied?
No.
No. So Spider-Man is not allowed into that room. He goes to the second room. The eligibility rule is the person from USA, which is correct.
Yes.
So now this would be the pay range for Spider-Man. So the minimum would be 200,000 and the maximum would be 500,000 USD. So this gives the compensation admin or any person who is setting up the compensation a range to work on. Like, okay, this person has to be set up an amount in between 200 to 500,000. Now, having said that, I don't know if you remember, I said last class, you can set up any value which is not within this range. The system will be throwing an alert, but not an error. The system will allow you to go ahead and set up any random value. Say you want to set up Spider-Man's base pay as $600,000. The system will say that, okay, you are setting this person's salary as something which is beyond the range, but you are allowed to go ahead to do that. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, one more thing before you come up with any questions. So say, for example, Spider-Man was from UK instead of USA. This would have defaulted. And because the currency is GBP, so the default currency of Spider-Man would have been GBP. Because this is the room where the Spider-Man is going to enter. Even if the default in this case is USD, but because the room has a currency of GBP, the profile has a currency of GBP, that would get them get the highest priority. Any questions?
Can you go back to that tenant, please?
Sure.
Okay, can you go up, please? All right, I'm sorry. Can you go down?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so we are defining these ranges, pay ranges under the tab compensation grade profiles. So if you go to the
Right.
compensation pay range, please.
Yes.
Here we are just defining.
We're not doing anything.
We are not doing anything.
As soon as
there.
you use profiles, you just forget about the pay range of compensation pay range. Nothing
Okay.
that you need to do. Only if you don't have profiles, then you have to work on this section.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Then we would just put 200 and 500 and that's it.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, does it make things clearer how you can go ahead and, I mean, I believe you would be able to do the non-executive grade also?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Sure. Also, one more thing I would like to add on. So this is more like a food for thought for you guys. Instead of adding anything, if you don't put anything in this eligibility rules, what would happen?
And everybody would be executive grade.
Correct. Exactly. So everybody will not be executive grade. Everybody would be eligible for executive.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now what we can do is we can do that. And instead of adding this eligibility rule here, we can create our own eligibility rule where we combine this and the country as UK using the and condition as the last class and set it up here. Then also it would work just fine. Does it make sense?
Right, it does.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
So instead of using the eligibility rule here, say employees above manager,
right,
we just keep it blank.
Okay.
And here in this eligibility rule in the profile, we just create our own eligibility rule and make it a combination of country as UK and employee above manager using the two and conditions.
Okay.
So then that would also
Can you
suffice.
do that, please? Show us.
Definitely. So let me just go ahead and create an eligibility rule. So let's just name it employee above manager level and from UK, right? So what I'll do is I'll copy from the one which I've already created, employee, right? So I'll be using this. And location, in the selection list, say United Kingdom. So this will combine these two condition rules. Now, if I just click OK on this and use this rule instead of this rule, then we can do away with this. Similarly, we will be creating another one for USA. Like this, employee above manager level and from USA. And we can use that here. So with that, we can just remove this eligibility rule and just using this eligibility rule and combining it with the existing ones.
I have a question, Satyaki. I mean, from your experience, you're working, and so are you making a lot of rules like on a regular basis, or is it like a thing that you do once and then it's done?
Right. That's a good question. So basically, certain rules like country, USA, these are already existing, right? So what you would prefer is to create as less rules as possible to keep the system as clean as possible. However, like clients would definitely come up with a lot of requirements, right? For example, when I'm using this country's USA for the training purpose, the client might be talking about, say, 50 rules. If the person is from, say, California, the person's age is 20 to 30, or there can be multiple conditions, right? In those cases, you have to create rules, and these keep on changing. Say, a person belonging to, say, HR domain is allowed to be in the executive grade if he is above the manager level. This used to be a condition, say, in 2020. Now it got changed to has to be a senior manager and above. So you make changes in the condition rule, which you have already. So you have to create new ones. You have to modify the existing ones. So
I guess what I'm trying to get to is because you're making so many rules and there are so many existing rules. So how do you keep track of the names of these rules? Like, is there like like a library inside WorkDay where all the rules are there, or how, every time you make a rule, you make a note for yourself? How do you manage?
Audit trail, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think in first class, he mentioned that for any changes, there is audit trial, will keep the changes tracking, right?
Right.
Yeah,
there's a trail of audit,
it.
yes. But what I'm trying to ask is, let's say, I'm doing something, I'm making a change, okay, and I want to see if there is a rule that is already existing in the system that takes care of this, so I don't have to make a new one. So how would I go through all the existing rules? Is there like a place you can see all the existing rules, like what other people have done who were there before me or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, how do you find out if this rule is already existing in the system?
Yeah, so you just saw like how I did for United countries, United States. So you can just type in your keywords, like what you
Okay.
actually
Mhm.
require from the system, and you can see whether there are things matching that, and you can just open to find out all the rules. Let me just
So there's no
check.
library. There must be like a place where you can, because the way I name my rules is different than how somebody else will name rules. So it's impossible for me to, guess what they might have named.
I think this got logged out.
I think it's the 1 hour something.
No,
Uh,
no, maybe you are on other, see.
can
Let's
you
see, there
just
is
It's a long window.
it's a
no. I
tab.
mean, it in both the places it's the same thing. Can you just log in again?
Here. Let me see. Mhm. So this is PDB, sorry. We are in a okay. Sorry, something might happen, logged you guys out.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, as I was showing, so say there is all compensation, no, not all compensation eligibility rules. So you have got a report of compensation eligibility rules, and yeah, I mean, there are lots of rules actually.
Okay. So there's a way to, you
So-
can just view them and maybe see,
Ye-
find.
Yeah, I mean, if it had been less, maybe you might have. So say I
Yeah.
want to select only the ones created by me, so I'll just
It'll
click on
probably
it.
be easier to do in a company tenant than this one, because this one is a mess.
Correct. Yeah, so yeah, this will give you the compensation eligibility rules
Okay.
that
All
I
right.
have
It was
created.
just a random question. Satyak, you don't have to spend too much time on this. I was
Right.
just wondering if we could do that.
Yeah. So basically, like if you ask me what I do, I generally keep a track of what all I've created in an Excel separately, so that I can reuse that in my different projects also. So yeah,
Okay.
that's how I do it. But I mean, people have different preferences. Okay, so yeah, so we are good with creating compensation grades and grade profiles, right? Anybody has any question, or we can move ahead with the later part of this activity.
No, I think you can move ahead. Thank you.
All right. So when I go to the next activity, let me just. Right. Okay. So this is done. The eligibility rules and grade profiles, everything is done. So before coming to this activity, creating a salary plan, let's just understand what's a plan. Okay. Let me just go back a little to our initial diagram of the package. So compensation package is like the entire thing. It contains the grades and grade profiles, if you can see. It contains the eligibility rules, and it contains the plans. So plans are basically it's very simple, straightforward thing. Say a salary plan or allowance plan, or say one-time payment. So different plans, an employee might be tagged to different plans. So, and you have to group these plans into a package so that an employee is eligible for that. So we will go ahead and see a few of the plans. Some of the plans like merit, bonus, and stock, these come under advanced compensation. We'll not get into that. We will just give you an idea of what plans are. So maybe a salary plan, an hourly plan, an allowance plan. So I'll go to the tenant and create a plan. So like most other things, the command is pretty much straightforward. Create salary plan. As we click on the salary plan again, ask for an effective date, 0.01. Right, so just keep it. And okay, so we'll give it a name. Let's just name it salary plan. Salary plans are the most basic kinds of plans. So almost everybody has salary plans. So just name it a salary plan. Compensation element will be a base pay. So let's just keep base pay as a compensation element for this entire program. There's nothing much to do here. It's mostly on payroll. Now coming to eligibility rule, it's pretty much the same as eligibility rules that we had used for grades. So if you want a person to have to get tagged to certain kind of a salary plan, then you add that person to this eligibility. So say I have a salary plan for employees above manager. Just giving an example. So I'll add it and that's it. So it's a very simple, straightforward plan. So any person above the manager grade would be eligible for this salary plan. So in our example, in our activity, it's like create a salary plan for all the workers of the organization. And I believe Syed came up with this compensation eligibility rule to include all workers from this organization as superheroes. Right. So, but should I go ahead and explain like what he did, or are we good with that?
I think we're good.
Okay, so if we know that we are good with that, let me just go ahead and use Syed's eligibility rule only. So I'll just go ahead and comp all workers. So what does this mean? This means that any employee belonging to this supervisory organization and organizations to follow, they would be eligible for this salary.
And what is
similarly?
What is apply FTE percentage?
Right. That's a good catch. I'll go to it. So FT is full-time employee, full-time employment rather. So some of the organizations, they do have FT calculations, right? So say I go ahead and apply FT calculation, then what will happen is you can just read it out here. So it would just calculate the percentage. So say I am working full FT. I'm supposed to work 8 hours a day and I'm working full FT, 100% FT. So I'll be getting some sort of a salary. Now say I am working in that same company, but I'm not working a full time. I'm working half FT. So 50% is my allocation. So I'll be getting 50% of the salary. So you can similarly set up different FT percentages, like say 60%. 70% based on that.
So do we define this FTE percentage somewhere?
Not exactly, not right now. So when you are hiring an employee, then you set up FTEs.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
So
and when we use process eligibility exclude from merit, so somebody hire some exception, then we can use exclude from merit, the process eligibility.
Yeah. So again, as I said, merit is something which is out of scope of this program. So basically it comes under advanced compensation. So these are like stock grants and merit bonuses, all those kind of things. So if you want to keep this person not involved in merit, then you just have to check on this. So for merit, we have a workday defined process. So that allows a person to be eligible for some merit bonuses at the end of the year or defined period of time. I'll not get into that complexity, but just to give you an idea. So in case you don't want this person to participate in that, then you can exclude this person. So sometimes we have, say, contractual workers who are working, say, 60% of the time, or say 50%, say half 50 they're working. So then you'll be clicking on this, and definitely they are not eligible for say merit bonus. So you click on this. So that means that employee is working for 50% of the time, and so 50% you're not defining here. When the employee when you are hiring that employee, you will define that 50%, and definitely this person is excluded from the merit. So that's all that it means. Make sense?
Got it.
Okay. Okay, so once we are done with the salary plan, let me go to another kind of plan. Let me go to the allowance plan. I think that is a little more complicated than salary plan.
So this salary plan that we're doing is like one comprehensive salary plan for every employee of the company.
Correct. Yes.
So it doesn't matter they're in US, UK. We just did one plan for everyone.
Right. You can have separate plans for USA, separate plans for UK also.
So
depends
I'm just taking our example, the Superheroes Inc. So in that case, we will have to do two salary plans. One for US, one for UK.
So based on the requirement, you can go ahead with one. But if you want, I mean, as I said, just at the beginning of this program, you can always go ahead and play around. So you can have different plans, and you can actually go ahead and create your own grades and grade profiles also. Say you want to create a grade profile for Asia, or say you want to create a grade profile for Australia. So you can just go ahead and explain. So this is basically for as a reference standpoint, and not something which is like very absolute.
Right.
But just for reference.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to understand from a more like a, because our mind is kind of working in terms of this superheroes org. So let's say I was to create a salary plan for this company. So I'll create one salary plan, and then I can maybe bifurcate that into two different plans. Is like a grade profile inside the salary plan. Is there something we can do?
No, we can't do that. So as you see, it's a very simple thing. Just name the plan, and just the eligibility.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think this is a little stuck. Sure. Yeah, I think
yeah, it logged you out, this look like.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it's like if you're not responding, they change the responding time. If you're not responding or clicking anything, it might lock you out. This might happen. I start seeing from today.
So okay,
just keep on clicking.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, apart from salary plan, let's just go and visit a few other plans. Let's just go to the other plan that we need here. It's an allowance plan. So we have two different allowance plan. One for the superheroes executive car allowance, and the other for superheroes non-executive bike allowance. So if you go to the top, you can see compensation package would be containing a salary plan. So we have already created a salary plan, a car allowance plan for executive employees. We have mentioned the amount. So it will be 5,000 USD and 2,500 GBP annually, respectively. So, and a bike allowance of 100 USD and 80 GBP monthly for sales and marketing employees. So what does this mean? This means there is a salary plan, which is for everybody in this organization, which we have already created. It's a basic thing. The salary, say everybody is going to get a salary, right? Now we are coming to allowance, right? So for allowance, the car allowance will be going to only the executive employees. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the car allowance will go to only the employees, only the executive employees. And then there's a bike allowance that will only go to the sales and marketing employees below manager level. So if we go back to our organization chart, there are these executive employees. So these executive employees will be getting car allowances. Batman, Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman, right? Now, who all will be getting the bike allowance?
Non-executive.
Superman and
Oh,
Iron Man.
sales and marketing.
Not the manager, the ones under.
Iron Man, Superman, yeah.
So yes, exactly. Only the sales and marketing people below the manager will be getting. So only these two people will be getting the bike allowance, right?
Yes.
So let's go to the tenant. Not sure it's blank.
Yeah, that's what happened. We just late and we might have to log in again. Let's see.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's maybe overload or something. That's kind of
Okay. Because even the community workday tenant is facing some issues today. I'm not sure if it's okay. Yeah. So can I go ahead and use this?
Yeah, let's see what happening. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, like how we created salary plan, we will go ahead and create allowance plan. I don't think this person has an access. Can you please log in as Logan, or do you want me to log in as Logan?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So you can see there is this option called create allowance plan. Okay. So now when I put on an effective date, you can see there are these three options that are there: amount based, percentage based, and unit based. Now, what is amount based? Amount based incentive, amount based allowance is pretty much straightforward. Like you say, 500 rupees if the person has done say 90% of his achievement or something like that. So the amount based is okay, he would be getting 500 rupees or say $500, something like that. So it's amount based allowance, like whatever this person is going to get. Now, what is percentage based? Percentage based is say 10% of his base pay or 5% of his base pay. So anything based on the percentage would be a percentage based plan. And a unit based plan is like, say, for example, a person is working, is say doing business in units. So say 10 units of something, so 10 units of chairs. So in that case, the person will be getting 1 unit as an allowance, right? So again, having said that, unit-based plan is something which I personally have never used. I generally use amount-based plans and percentage-based plans. So let me just go ahead and use amount-based plans because that's what we are asked for in this activity, right? So basically the thing is 5,000 USD and 2,500 USD for the car allowance. So let us go ahead and create this allowance plan. So it's an amount-based plan. I'll click on amount-based plan. Click on OK. I'll name it. Say RW car allowance. And what would be the eligibility rule here? Any idea?
Executive and
Amount.
Yeah,
Just
correct.
executive, I think.
The executives, correct. So we already have the executive eligibility rule, I believe. No, we don't have. I think the one that we created was something else, RW manager or something like that. Yeah.
Over the above
right.
employees above
So we
manager.
can, right. So we can reuse this eligibility rule and any employee above the manager would be eligible for car allowance, right? Now, what would be the amount? So here we come and in the compensation element, we usually use the allowance pay. You can also use the base pay. So that again depends on the payroll, what the payroll asks you to do. So the default is like if you have an allowance plan fixed for everything, for all the locations, for all everything, then you just type in the amount here, say $100 per year. But for our case, we have two separate units, right? One is 5,000 USD and another one is 2,500 GBP. So we will create something of a similar concept as grade profiles. So for allowance plan, unlike the salary plan, we can create profiles. You can see allowance plan profiles. So I'll just go ahead and create and just add here 5,000, say USD, and you can just use any of the eligibility.
Yeah,
say,
so we'll use location.
Yeah, because our entire basis is on location, so you can just use locations.
Do we have to say they have to be executives also for this? In the eligibility rule?
Yeah.
We'll have two eligibility rules. One is New York and one is. No, my question is, do we have to put that rule again down here? The employees above manager, do we have to do it again? Or
No. So this is already taken care of here.
Okay.
So this is again the main gate and two room concept.
Got it. Okay.
And we'll just add another one. That's 2,500. Sorry. 2,500 GBP. And that would be. So this is how we create our allowance plan. Right?
Yeah.
So we have another allowance plan. This is the bike allowance. And this is a little trickier than the car allowance because here we have to set up another compensation eligibility rule that would distinguish between employees from the sales and marketing. So I would request you to do this as something which you can practice on. What I'll add on along with this is we have to create a compensation package. So I'll go about that compensation package really fast. It's a very simple thing, just to include everything in the same thing. So create compensation package is the command. Just name it, just give it name, effective date. just name it, some package. Again, you see eligibility rule. Everything is dependent on eligibility rule. I will use Syed's eligibility rule. Why? I'll come to that. Here, you have to mention which all compensation grades you want the system to consider within the compensation eligibility, compensation package. So how many grades do we have?
2, right?
2, right? So I personally in the system have only 1, I think. RW, there will be only 1 grade. Yeah, that's executive. Non-executive I have not created, so I'll not add that. You can see automatically it picks up the eligibility rule here. I'll go to the compensation plans. So compensation plan, I have how many plans?
Two.
And what are they?
Executive and non-executive.
No, that's the compensation grade. So when I'm talking about the compensation plans, it's the salary, the one-time payment, bonus, allowance, those things I'm talking about.
I'm actually a little confused, Satyaki. Why are we using RW, this package thing? What is the purpose of package? What
This
makes because you said we have to do a second compensation allowance plan, right? For sales and marketing.
Right.
So I didn't understand what the connection was between that and using a package, a compensation package.
So compensation package is like the last layer.
Mm-hmm.
So an employee, when he or she becomes eligible to a package, then he gets directly eligible to grades and grade profiles, also the plans and everything, the elements, everything in it. So why we are doing it, I'll come to that.
Okay.
So say I'm hiring Spider-Man and he is not eligible to this package, right? So if he is not eligible to this package, then the system will not default his salary plans and his allowances. I'm coming to that. I think I'll be clearer once I add these things. So let me just go ahead and add the plans. So I have a couple of plans in the system right now. One is the salary plan and the other one is the car allowance plan. And as I said, I would request you to create the bike allowance plan also. So once you have done that, you will just go ahead and add that as another compensation plan. So car allowance compensation basis is something which we are not considering right now. So you can keep it as blank. So what does this mean? This means that any employee who is eligible, who is a part of this supervisory organization created by Syed, so they are eligible for
so once we create all these things, the employee just add into the package and they get all the rules. We don't need to set separately. That's the reason I think package has.
Exactly. So that helps in defaulting, right? So if you have properly defined the eligibility rules, then only the employees of this supervisory organization would be eligible to this package. So none of the employees. So say you have another supervisory organization and that is not eligible for this rule. So any employee from that supervisory organization will not be eligible to any of these compensation plans and compensation grades. So it's like an external layer of encapsulation. It's an outside layer. Now, having said that, I will contradict myself again. Like even if the person is not eligible to a package, he can be eligible to the grade, right? But why do we do this? So that defaulting happens. Now, what is defaulting? Say when you are being hired. So the first thing the system will check is the compensation package. As soon as you are eligible for a compensation package, it will see if you are eligible for that grade, for any grade available in the package or not. If yes, then you will default that grade. If not, then it would ask the say the compensation partner or say the manager who is putting into the values in the system would ask them to add a grade to the employee. Just because, I mean, it becomes a tedious job, right? For the employee to, for the manager to add grades for the employee, what all plans are eligible, what all plans the employee is eligible to. So all these things, if you need to add manually, then it becomes tedious and it might throw some errors. So instead of that, what we will do is we will put everything inside a package so that everything defaults by itself. And the manager or any person who is putting into the value, say I'm hiring a person and I see the person belongs to a compensation package, say XYZ. So what I'll go and check the next field, the grade. So if everything is configured properly, the employee would automatically be tagged to a grade, say 6. The employee would automatically be tagged to a grade profile, say 6 USA. The employee would automatically be tagged to some of the plans, say salary plan, hourly plan, allowance plan. And then what I need to do is I'll just have to open the salary plan and put in some value, the base pay, open the hourly plan and put in some value, and open the allowance plan and put in some value. Now, even for allowance plan, we saw that we can also default, say the 5,000 and 2,500 that I showed just now for US and UK. We can go ahead and change that. Those are default values. We can go ahead and change that. But again, these are the things which we can make the system default. Because ultimately that is the purpose of Workday, right? To minimize the manual efforts as much as possible. Does it make sense? Like why we need a compensation package?
Yes. So when someone gets hired, the hiring manager would choose the compensation package.
The hiring manager will not have to choose the compensation package if the eligibility rules mentioned are properly configured. It will automatically default.
Right. Okay. So if he's hiring someone within the executive level, so that means automatically a particular compensation package will be picked.
Right. Similarly, because I have included my grades, grade profiles, and plans into that package.
Yeah.
If my grades and grade profiles are correctly configured in the system, the employee would be holding the correct grade, the correct profile, and the correct number of plans.
Okay.
Yeah, but so, yes, Satya, if somebody hired and the grade is new, so we have to create new compensation package for that. For example, in grade we have executive and non-executive, but somebody hired not falling in these two grades, then what happens?
Say a junior grade. Okay.
Yep.
So junior grade, what we will do, we will create a junior grade like how we created executive and non-executive, and we will just add that grade to the package. That's it. So like we have added here in this package, the grades, the executive and the non-executive. We will go ahead, we can always modify this, add and remove stuffs.
Okay, got it.
So we are creating different compensation packages based on like levels or some
rules.
Okay.
Rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean here if you can see, you have option to just add, or you can, even if you say after 2 years the company has removed their system of grading employees into executives and non-executives, and they have come up with different systems, so you can remove this grade and use the new grades also. So all these modifications are possible and are actually the work of compensation consultants in Workday. So yeah, that's a major chunk of work that the consultants do in the compensation module. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's all I think we have from compensation part. I would request you guys to just go ahead and do the activity 2 again, and try it out for yourself. I would request you to create your own compensation packages and include the plans and rates. Try out the bike allowance. I'm sure you will find it very interesting. You can bring out your own allowance plans, and you can also give it a try to understand the other plans, and we can discuss about the other plans in the next class, like maybe an hourly plan, a period salary plan.
So,
I mean, incentive plus, yeah.
The question about the bike plan thing that we have to do.
Sure.
Will we have to create a new eligibility rule for that? Because the eligibility rule we have is above manager.
So, I mean, let me give you a brief walkthrough about the bike allowance plan. So, bike allowance plan is 100 USD or 80 GBP depending on your location. So, this is something which you'll be able to do, right?
Yeah, but you're doing sales and marketing employees below the manager level.
Correct. So, do we already have an eligibility rule that defines all the employees who belong to sales and marketing and
we
their,
didn't do it, but it might, there might be one in the tenant.
Correct. So
but let's assume there is none, so we have to create our own eligibility.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you have to create that and add it at the top level. So when I say top level, that means just cancel this out. So say this is where you need to add that. So any employee who belongs to the sales and marketing team and is not in the manager level, below the manager level.
Yeah.
So they would be eligible for this allowance plan. And now you need to define the allowance plan profiles here.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I think we are good. Next class, we would be having an extended discussion on this activity again for any questions and queries, and then we would go ahead and do job profiles and positions. So it would be a shorter duration session next class, keeping in mind that we would be having a lot of questions based on this activity too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, any questions, or we can close the session today?
I think we're good.
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Not for now, but next week.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Questions next week for you, Satyaki.
No problem, no problem. Happy to answer. Happy to help.
Thank you so much. You guys ready for the game tomorrow?
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
All
day.
right, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.